network science is a broad tent.
So network science really emerges from a combination of disciplines.
So network science is a fairly newfangled academic phrase.
Network science to me is really the study of biological, social...
Computer networks, networks of people, networks of information.
Presumably a science trying to understand how connections between individuals affect their behavior.
Interesting questions don't recognize boundaries. And I think that the very best scholars care more about the question than about the discipline, although the discipline is extremely useful for allowing you to frame the question in a way that allows you to give concrete answers. And it's always useful to look at a problem through multiple different frames.
The Warren Center will really act as a catalyst to bring together people across the university who've been studying their own corner, their own take on this field, in their own communities for a while, and really kind of galvanize the strength that Penn has in these areas.
When you connect the entire world population to a network, and you start measuring and observing human behavior, many, many things will come to mind that aren't even available to think about today.
It's almost impossible for me to talk about how much technological change I've seen in my young life, and it's very hard for me to speculate on what is going to happen next or where we're going from here. What is exciting is that I get to be a part of this.
So a lot of my research recently has been looking at large data sets of how basically collecting data on the internet of how security is actually working in the real internet.
One of the very interesting questions is how health behaviors spread through social networks. It's been a topic of great interest recently, and it's something that a lot of policymakers and policy thinkers have given great attention to over the last decade. However, it's been rare to be able to apply models from complex systems, physics, engineering, biology, to understanding these social processes. And this is the kind of work that we're now doing here at the Warren Center.
I study data privacy and game theory. In particular, how you can run computations on data that belongs to other people, both in a way so that you can encourage them to truthfully report their data to you, and in a way that you can promise them freedom from harm in the event that their data might be sensitive in some way.
I look at large-scale network data, for example, telecom networks that form when people make phone calls between one another, online social networks like Twitter, where people are connected by following one another, and ask, can we construct features or develop methods to do things like predict the likelihood that they're fraudulent, or that they'll buy something, or that they'll click on an ad.
A modern sort of technology, Facebook, Twitter, has just sort of hypercharged us, put this whole thing on steroids. We're learning a lot more from our friends about a lot more choices that we have. And I'm coming to it trying to understand, well, is this additional, all this additional information we have, is it helping us sort of filter through choices we have better? Or is it just, is the noise overwhelming the signal?
So in the past, theories were just theories, right, and could be tested only in either a simulated world or with very small data sets.
But what was missing was actual data that you could test theories on. We now have lots of data.
We're talking about scales of data that have never been logged before in human history. The trade-off is data is an opportunity, but it's also a challenge.
Don't really have methodologies yet to deal with it at scale. And so, from a research perspective, that's just a huge opportunity.
One of the other things that the Warren Center brings to the table is a bunch of people who know how to deal with data at a Facebook or a Twitter size level.
So we're in a position now to try out, test some of those theories, and potentially inspire other theories.
I think one of the things that we've learned in the internet and web era are that the tools of any single academic discipline are woefully insufficient to kind of understand our modern technological world.
Even within my own field, cryptography, there's a way that computer scientists look at it. There's a way that mathematicians look at it.
Physicists now being really interested in social problems, and sociologists and political scientists being very interested in models from physics and biology.
And one of the most exciting things about the Warren Center is that it's bringing together researchers from all across Penn.
Researchers here aren't stuck in the "it wasn't invented in my field" mold.
You have this tremendous really synergy between scientific approaches that makes discovery, not just possible but inevitable.
The Warren Center could be a place that top graduate students and top postdocs in each of these areas could come to work. I think that this would set off a golden age of information science.
I think there will be great industry interest in the Warren Center simply because the introduction of systems and artifacts into society has kind of run ahead of the science to understand those artifacts.
I think it will attract some of the most respected names because it does have a first mover advantage.
The center becomes a destination. People say, I want to spend time there because it's exciting and it's stimulating, and I pay attention to what people from that center say because what they have to say is stimulating and interesting.
Penn is really one of the greatest universities in the world for interdisciplinary research. The Warren Center, I hope, will foster kind of creative thinking, not just on the technical level, but about how we could do things that impact beyond the walls of academia.
There is so much in the future to be discovered. That's what makes this such an exciting program and such an exciting center. And the people that populate the center are going to be the ones that discover those things.
Well, entrepreneurs are people that are willing to embrace change positively. So we call that risk, but it could just be positive changes. They can see a different way of doing things, and we need to promote that.
Those are the people that engage change, and change is important for the progress of humanity.